Hey everybody, it's Second Lieutenant Bruner again here with another DCS video. I know it's been a while since I did the last one, but now that we're on summer and hopefully some of you guys are trying out the sims a little bit more, I'll walk you through a new update that just came with the Viper. And basically what we got here is we got some INS, GPS INS guided what we call GBU-38s here. So 500-pound smart bombs, they got a nice little fuse on them. Basically we'll use the targeting pod here on the bottom side of the airplane here to go ahead and track, get a GPS data point or an INS data point from our targeting pod, and then engage it with that weapon. It's a standoff weapon, it's a fire frigate weapon, so you can fly up to 15,000 feet, set your impact angle, your speed, whatever you want, drop it, forget it, it's going to hit the target. So let's go ahead and start the Viper up here, and we're going to go ahead and just walk through the entire thing, and hopefully this might be a refresher for some of you guys, and hopefully you guys can have some fun with this Block 50 Viper. So let's go ahead and get started. First, I'm going to go ahead and drop that thing into main power. Jet start 1. Oop. Bump the zoom key there. While that's happening, I'm going to lower the canopy, lock it, and we're waiting for our RPMs to come up. And then get about 15 there. I'm going to go ahead and introduce fuel into the mixture by moving our throttle to idle. And we're going to let it watching our turbine inlet temperature. Hopefully it doesn't go up too high. About 940, which is normal. And you got a good start. And no warnings. Alright, our electrical system is all up to scratch. So let's go ahead and get everything set up. First, I'm going to go ahead and turn on our HUD here once I power on all the avionics, and we're going to uncage our backup ADI. Now let's go ahead and introduce power to our system. So first, I'm going to move my INS into the stored heading line, and I'm going to move our mids to on. So then I'm going to go ahead and add basically circuit. These are all circuit breakers pretty much. I'm adding power to all my main system, all my avionics. I come up here, give power to my right hardpoint in the targeting pod, fire control radar, and radar altimeter. We'll wait for this to count down. When it gets to about 10, we'll get all of our GPS and our GPS in different data systems like that. Make sure we enable our IFF system, our lights, and make sure that everything's in place here. Check starter disengage, radio's on. Power all these on. We'll turn the jammer off. Chaff flare on. Set to bypass or whatever program. I like bypass. This is Cat 3 config. I can go taxi. Alright, down 10, flashing ready. We move this to nav. And we are all set. We can go ahead and back out of that DUD. So let's go ahead and get our information for Anderson Air Force Base here on Guam. So runways 0624, ATCs 1262 or 3050 on VE, very high frequency, so VHF. No ILS in yet, so I was looking for. Elevation is 0545, runway length 10,000 feet. TAC in 54 X-ray, so we'll go ahead and put 54 X-ray in. So we're going to go to list. Actually, sorry. Return TILS TAC in channel 54 X-ray. Enter. And that's got our TAC in position, and there's no ILS frequency, so we won't put it in. So we'll be taking off on, I think we're runway 06 right today, so we're going to go ahead and establish our on-course heading of 060-ish. Got a waypoint out there. 060 to waypoint that. I'll establish our on-course heading of 050 to the target. Kind of see our flight plan here. That's kind of that. We'll be flying out to the islands here today, and I'll go ahead and speed it up for you guys so you don't see that, but let's go ahead and get our taxi. Nose-wheel steering. Nose-wheel steering is... Oh. There it is. Sorry. I'm just messing around. Alright. Here we go. That'll bump on the throttle. Doesn't need too much more than that. And she'll taxi just fine. So let's go ahead and get our systems up. We're gonna go ahead air to ground for now. Master is safe, so we don't have to worry about pickling any weapons off or anything like that. Plus there's a ground safe enable on the jet, so we don't have to worry about that. Basically we want to go ahead and power on our GBUs, get that align started. We'll go ahead and mess with our profiles later. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up for now. And over here we'll get the targeting pod up and spooled up, and we'll throw it in standby. So like I said, the GBU-38 is a new addition to the Block 50 Viper. Most effective weapon downrange for the most part. It's really nice. There's no, unlike a GBU-10 or any of the paveway class weapons where you need to guide it with a laser, all you need to do is basically make it your sensor point of interest on the Viper using the targeting pod by, I'll show that later in the video, but basically it'll remember that point in space, and then on the profile here you'll give it its fuse, its fuse activation time, its depending on the fuse kind you have, what kind of fuse, like airburst, whether it'll sit in the ground and explode later like a landmine, stuff like that. Impact angle, the azimuth. You don't really. If it's set to standard 0, it basically won't measure the azimuth. Basically, the weapon wants to. If you want to have it fly on a straight line or curve off to the left and land on whether basically if you want to set your attack azimuth, then that's basically what you will do. So holding short 0.6 right here at Foxtrot, and basically and then the impact velocity. And basically the weapon will do its best to match these parameters given your launch specifications, and I'll go ahead and talk more about that later. So we'll go ahead and page off it now. Alright, let's go ahead and check the systems. No master cautions. INS set, mids on. Heading steer point 1 is selected, heading 060. Gonna be a climb about to 10,000 feet. And we're gonna go ahead and keep our climb up there. Target steer point 2, and yeah, we'll go ahead and move our way out there. So let's go ahead and go across the whole bars here. And we'll get out to 06 right, clear right. And normally we'd be talking tower, obviously, but well, we're just not doing that today. Because the tower does not exist. That's I am by myself. So a nice little thing that you want to do here is basically brakes on, turn that nose wheel steering off, and run it up. And while we run it up, we're going to go ahead and introduce about 70% throttle on the brakes, off the brakes. Since we have 2 bags, we have enough gas for full afterburner. We're going to go ahead and introduce that full afterburner. And have a little bit of right tendency there. We'll go ahead and keep it down in center line best we can. Rotate 150. And on this airplane, we have to be careful not to overspeed the gear. Gear coming straight up. And transition free, not above 300. Gear speed good. Coming back to mill and continuing the climb. Alright, now that we're up in the angle here, we're going to go ahead and throw our master arm on, check our gear is safe, landing lights coming off, Cat 3 check. We're going to do basically our cruise setting. Got a little bit of right tendency there because of a targeting pod. We're going to go ahead and push steer point 2, and our weapon is ready, RDY, which means we're good to pickle it, and it'll come off. I want to do station 3 because we have actually, no, station 7 makes more sense because I have a little bit more weight on the right side, so I want to pickle off that side first. So let's go ahead and throw our thing back up. We're going to go ahead and throw our targeting pod. And we're just going to rock the steer point, and our targeting pod should fix it on that steer point. And we'll see you guys on our way over to the target. Alright. We're about 30 mics after the target now. Let's go ahead and use our targeting pod here to get a better picture. Gonna go ahead and zoom in once, zoom in some more. Go ahead and maximize our zoom. We'll go to black hot. Why not? We'll see some. Maybe we can see some targets with the black hot. And there we are. We got our tank groups right there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the bottom of one of the tank groups, TMS up short, create a point track. Now that's our sensor point of interest for the weapon. And now we're going to go ahead and set our attack azimuth. So I'm going to go ahead and put this steering bar right down the center of my flight path marker right there. So level 21,000 feet. Got a lot of energy on this weapon, so it'll take a couple seconds to get down there. And as a couple seconds, I mean a couple of tens of seconds. So basically what I'm going to keep doing is I'm going to keep flying this. Basically what I'll do is I'll throw my heading select on. So rotate my heading around to my current heading of about 020 or so, 024 setting. I'm going to go ahead and do altitude hold, heading select, and it'll hold this heading. I can just kind of maneuver it back over there, and I'll make a little maneuver to the left here. Basically, in order to pickle this weapon, we need to have our weapon selected. So we're on station 7, got a good ready sign. We are master arm on, and we're all checked off. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna go ahead, I'm gonna continue to maneuver this airplane over on the flight path marker. Just get a good line so I don't have to worry about flying the airplane too much while I talk you guys through how to set this target up. So on a heading now of about 0, what's that, 18? Yeah. And so now we have a better picture on our target. So let's go ahead and pick it. We want to kill this guy. So I'm going to TMS up, point track, and we have 10 seconds till we're in range to strike that target. So I'm watching this bar come down. This is counting down for 4, 3, 2, 1. I like to wait a little bit as we come past it here. Maybe count 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, and then 1 off. Pickle times 1 off the jet, and it'll come off the jet like that as we continue to fly forward. So I'm gonna go ahead and crank a little bit, maybe like 15 degrees off to the left here. And chop the throttle back so we can kind of watch this come down in the targeting pod feed and watch it kind of come down off the jet. So it says it has a full minute to impact, and I honestly believe it. So we're gonna go ahead and watch this weapon fall. So the great thing about a JDAM is it has a guidance kit, right? So these fins will actively be moving. You can see that thing on top right there. It's managing its position in space and time. It's got those fins on it to stabilize it in flight, and it's got that special fuse tied all the way back there. So at this point, I said to arm the weapon 4 seconds after pickle, so it is armed at this time, and it's falling. You can kind of see us up there. And, yeah, we are up there somewhere. It's coming through 15,000 feet, 432 knots, and we are kind of over the target here. So I'm going to kind of roll the jet back in to keep the targeting pod on it, and I'm going to move it to attitude. Hold. It's just gonna hold that attitude as it rolls in. We're up there somewhere. Oh, there we are. I saw us for a second. Anyway, so we're watching this bomb now coming through. You can see the target up there. It's starting to pick up speed as it enters its final attack phase, and it'll basically fly itself to that target and just keep its energy up all the way to the target. It's gonna impact at an angle of 60 degrees and with a velocity as close to 700 knots as possible. And shack that target. And autopilot coming off 1, coming off to the left. So by shacking that target, I think we scared all these other people into grouping up with each other. Oh, that's dangerous. So now the targeting pod is in a blind spot of the jet. Just because it's just how the relation to the relationship, it's kind of hiding behind our airplane there. So it's trying to look through the body of the airplane to find the target, and obviously you can't see it. All right, dropped about 10,000 feet altitude here, guys. We're gonna get set up for mid altitude range pass. 10,000 feet, still pretty high. But it should be a lot more interesting, and the weapon will get down to the target faster. So we have clouds in our way currently. We're going to go ahead. The targeting pod still cannot see through the clouds. We want to maneuver ourselves around these clouds here. Kind of roll around. And once I get line of sight to the target, I'll go ahead and roll in. And that means that if we got line of sight to the target, then our targeting pod is a good sight to the target. And we have a good line of sight to the target. And I'm rolling in. Got a good selection on the weapon. 9,000 feet. Rolling in. Level. Good release cue. 1 away. visually track that target with our eyes, as well as our targeting pod here. As it starts its final attack run, we'll get an update on our time with target. It says about 30 seconds, but I'm sure that'll be a little bit sooner here in a second. So you can kind of see our target group down there. And there's our weapon. Got a good fuse on that one that time. All right, we got one more down there. Let's go ahead and shack that last target. Got one more weapon, station 3. And one's maneuvering around. Throwing in some burner because we got the gas for it. We're gonna go ahead and climb up here. So as you guys may know, the F-16's got a wicked rate of climb. Pitch it up 20 degrees nose up, and we're actually accelerating in full burner. Mach 0.72 there. 400 knots indicated. And we got one more target there, so let's go ahead and level off 15. Bring it back to mill power. And we'll go ahead, get some distance out here. And we're about 10 miles to the south here. We'll go ahead and roll back in. Sorry, 10 miles to the north. We're going 10 miles to the south to engage that target. That's right. So as you can guys see down there, the target is 199 degrees for indicated number of miles, so 12 miles. And this would be your time, so 22, 30, and 44 seconds. So it is, that's, yeah, I think that's your time in Zulu, right? So obviously it's not 10:30, 10:30, let's see, 10:31 Zulu time. So, alright, got visual identification target. Looks like we got a good clear path to the target. Let's go ahead, kick in some afterburner to roll our target around here. And we're gonna keep our power in. Let the airspeed bleed off in the 4G turn. Got good line of sight to the target. Rolling in, throw it over the last target. TMS forward, got a good lock. Got a good weapon release queue. Let's go ahead and level off, make sure this weapon gets off nice and clean. And pickle. Last weapon wave. One, cranking right. See if we can get this. See if we can get the weapon. There it is. And we'll go ahead and watch this one more time from the point of view of that weapon right there. So the last weapon that came off the station did not detonate, so hopefully we don't have a dud on this weapon to this time. Pretty good detail on this weapon too. You can kind of see the upper receiver on that. So basically what it is the JDAM kit replaces the back fins with it. So all the gray parts you see are the JDAM kit, and the green part is the actual Mark 82. So this whole gray fin component is basically in itself kind of screwed onto the weapon, kind of pinned in there, and then it's got that front stabilization kit on it too, so that it kind of, as you see that front kind of fuse and everything, it might unstabilize the weapon, but it kind of makes it all stable in the end. And we got a good track to that target. Looks like it's going to hit it nice and clean. And right on the money, but looks like we got some duds on Station 3. So that's unfortunate. You know, happens sometimes. I don't know why it was modeled in this time, but yeah, so all of our weapons on Station 3 were duds, which is unfortunate. So we'll go ahead and RTB at this time. Master off, air ground off, Go ahead and pull the radar up, and gonna push steer point 3 for our approach. All right, we are about 20 miles away from our approach point on steer point 3. About 10,000 feet indicated. Radars, we're about 10,000 indicated. Radar altimeter says about 10.5, so we're gonna go ahead and descend a little bit here to 10 flat, and we'll call it good. Setting up our approach in the Viper. Go ahead and check our fuel one more time. Really good on fuel. The lighter you are, the easier it is to land in the Viper. We got about 3,500 pounds of gas left, and I'll go ahead and throw it back to that setting right there. About it says 95% RPM. Let's go ahead and pull it all the way back to 90. So that's Anderson Air Force Base over there. You can kind of see the nuclear weapon facilities right there, and different kind of stuff all around the Guam area. This is a free map, an update to DCS, and it's pretty fun. So we're going to go ahead and attempt to make our landing on the same runway we take off from. So we're going to go ahead and land on runway 06 right with a right brake, right pattern. Alright, so we are at a Cat 1 configuration now, since we don't have any weapons on board. We can go ahead and set ourselves for landing. Anti-skate is on. Master arm is off. Autopilot is off. And we got no caution lights, and so we're good. So let's go ahead and make this approach. So, 2,000 feet, about 2,700 above sea level, about 2,000 above the airport. And right when we roll across that 300 knots, and 3, 2, 1, one's a brake. Power to idle. Keep the flight path marker at or below the horizon, and pull for about 2 to 3 Gs, just to manage your speed, basically. And if you have to, let the flight path marker drop to keep your speed up as we go into the downwind to base leg. And now we're rocking downwind, add the power back to rest your descent. So there we are, 2,000 feet indicated above the runway. Go ahead and try to hold it at 2,000 because we're kind of dive in at the end here. There we are, about 1,800 feet indicated, which is fine. Looking nice and pretty. Got our flight path mark at the horizon again. Go ahead and trim her to keep her steady. And once our wingtip crosses the end of 06 right there, we're going to go ahead and make our turn in. Alright, there it is. So we're at our gear safe speed, about 230 knots. Once that gear swings down, we're going to lose our maneuverability a little bit. So we're going to swing the jet in and drop the gear. And we're just keeping our turn rate up this entire time. So gear swings in, losing the speed. Getting our best turn performance here. A little bit of rudder to swing the nose around. And pretty much perfect on the dot. Gonna go ahead and correct here with some power. On glide slope. Take out the power. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put our flight path marker on the 500 footers, and we're gonna maneuver by pulling back. And it's take a little bit to get our flight path marker in that E bracket, which is our on speed AOA, and then add the power back in to catch it. Kick the power one more time and idle on the brakes, and we'll let the airplane settle down. Aero braking to rest our speed. And it's 10,000 foot runway, so we got plenty of room to let it run out. And here we are. We're gonna go ahead and pull off the right here on kilo. Actually, we'll go ahead to the left here on kilo, back taxi to where we where we start. And there it is. All right. Shutdown. Let's go ahead and power all of our electrical systems off manually before we go ahead and turn them off on parking brake set, cat 1 set, landing lights are off, parking doors off, systems off. That's coming off, off. That's coming off, and our lights are off. You can't see that, but turn the lights off. That's off. These will all be coming off here in a second, and then we'll go ahead and cage her. So that's off, that's off, that's off. And go ahead and do that. Off, and take power off our jet. Go ahead and pop our canopy open with some hydraulic power. And idle cut off. So yeah, anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed that little demonstration of the new GBU-38 that you have available to your F-16 in the Hangar 51 sim room now. If you guys have any questions, just let me know, and let me know if you want to see anything else in DCS. So yeah, thank you for coming.